Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's newsletter. My name is Dr. Mike. I'm here outside at our Carmel Mountain location here in San Diego. Last week we had talked about some soft tissue mobility techniques to improve elbow overuse injuries. Today we're going to follow it up with a little bit of strengthening. Now, after doing soft tissue work, it's important to follow up with a little bit of strengthening. That way we can train the joint, train the muscles to work within that new range of motion that they have, which can help carry over into the activities that originally causes the pain. So, we're going to work our way from wrist going up to shoulder. Muscles at both ends kind of act upon the elbow. So we want to make sure that we cover our bases and get everything taken care of. Now, first couple exercises we're going to do with a dumbbell. Now I've got my forearm rested on this box here. This exercise can be done either standing or it can be done seated. It's going to be a very simple wrist flexion to wrist extension movement. Going nice and smooth, nice and controlled with the motion. With my arm down and my palm down, this is working more of the lateral part of my forearm. This is an area that commonly gets irritated or upset with racket sports, tennis elbow. As I'm doing this, I maintain a nice smooth tempo. Not necessarily going for 2-3 seconds down or up, just keeping nice controlled motion. Doing 10 repetitions. Rotating my forearm up, so my palm is facing up. Going to that same movement of wrist extension to wrist flexion. With my palm facing up, this is getting a little bit more of the muscles on the inside of my arm, the medial group. These are the muscles that are frequently irritated with golfing. Same deal, maintain a nice smooth motion, going for 10 repetitions. Because we're talking about overuse injuries, I like to start with 2 to 3 sets of 10 repetitions, and then from there, kind of building up the volume, building up the scale. Having a nice, smooth, progressive overload so that we don't re-irritate or get the muscles upset again, and having good transition back into our sport. Now, using the box here, I have metal pipe or metal piece of weightlifting equipment that's used for pull downs. What I'm doing with this is I'm working on forearm rotation. So, keeping my wrist neutral, my knuckles are aligned with my forearm here. We're going into rotation. Now, working rotation of the forearm is important, particularly with overhead athletes, throwing athletes, because the wrist, forearm, and elbow have a rotational component behind it. Same idea, we're starting nice and smooth, not trying to speed through the activity, but controlled all throughout. Going from palm down, palm up, and then back to palm down is 1 repetition. Because we're spending a little bit longer time going through a smooth arc, we're going to go a little bit less in the repetition. So we're going to go between 8 to 10 reps. Same idea, 2 sets. With the goal of increasing sets, increasing reps, and increasing resistance down the road. Now, to incorporate motions of the wrist with a little bit of the elbow, I have this weighted ball here. It weighs about 1.25 pounds. I'm starting with my elbow bent, palm is facing up. I'm going to extend my elbow, and I'm going to bend my wrist almost as if I'm going to go drop the ball onto the ground. This is going to work muscles on the outside of my elbow. Again, muscles that are frequently irritated with racket sports. And then after 10 repetitions, I reverse the movement. I start palm down, I rotate up, and I bend my wrist back, getting a little bit more of the inside of the elbow. This is a little bit more of a dynamic movement, getting a little bit more of shoulder, elbow, wrist incorporated with the movement, with the activity. Same deal, 10 repetitions. We're going for 2 sets for each direction. With this exercise, you can go 1 set, bending palm down, 10 reps, transition to 1 set, palm facing up, 10 reps, and then switch back. Or you can do 2 sets of ending palm down, then 2 sets of ending palm up. Now, we're going to work on a couple muscles that are in the arm here. Grabbing a couple dumbbells here, we're going to go into bicep curls. Now, as I go into the bicep curl, I'm starting with palms facing by my body, and we're ending with palms facing my shoulder. This is getting full range of motion, allowing that bicep to work through its full movement. Going nice and smooth and controlled with the motion. Here I'm alternating with the weights. This gets a little bit more work through each arm individually as they have to work by themselves. Starting out, if that's challenging, you can go both at the same time. Allows for a little bit better coordination, a little bit better movement. But as a way to challenge yourself, going alternating allows more focus, more attention to be spent on one arm at a time. Same deal, nice and smooth on the way up, nice and smooth on the way down. We're gonna go for this one anywhere between 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. Now, last exercise we're gonna do for the arm, we're gonna work a little bit of the triceps. I have this band here. We're gonna do very similar to the biceps. We have a way to work triceps both as a group, both arms, or individually. Now working them together, I grab on either side of the band, keep my body squared with the band that's anchored at a high position, elbows tucked close to my body, and from here, extending my elbows, straighten out my arms, bring the band down past my waist. I like using resistance bands for this exercise because they have a tendency to want to return to the original starting position. It forces a little bit more control through the arms as you go through the motion. You control the band doesn't control you. Now some of the biceps, we can progress this to doing it one-armed or one-arm focus. Having the band cross my body, arms starting across my body, still keeping my elbow tucked in close. And from here, straighten out the elbow, then back to start. Similar movement as if I were to go put on my seatbelt, starting at the top of my opposite shoulder, then bringing it down to my opposite hip. I also like this motion because it gets a little bit of rotation through the forearm as we go through the activity. Similar to the biceps, we're going to do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. Now with all these exercises, we start at that range of 2 to 3 sets, and then we go 10 to 15 repetitions, or in case of wrist, we've done 8 to 10 repetitions, with the goal of increasing either sets, increasing either reps, or increasing weight. Kind of picking one of those parameters each week as we go through the activities so that we are having a good progressive overload versus trying to throw too much at the equation too quickly. Thank you for joining me for this week's video. I'll see you guys next week.